I just got some thoughts that I want to get off my head here. So Bill Burr hosted SNL the other day, and apparently he did this stand-up monologue that triggered all the SJWs, and the internet went up ablaze, and it's how triggered it was, and it was so offended, and the leftists were crying, and they tried to cancel him because they don't get humor.
Comedy is dying, I guess. They're trying to cancel him for it.
But to be honest, I have not seen anybody who has been triggered by it. I've only seen people who were offended at the thought that maybe people were offended by it. And I feel like people got to see the irony in that. You can't get mad if people get mad about something, because then you are also getting mad. You know what I'm saying? I watched the monologue, and it was all right. But to be honest, perhaps not his best work. His big, SJW triggering bit was like, I'm probably going to get canceled for that joke. How stupid is that cancel culture? They're going to cancel John Wayne. John frickin' Wayne. They're trying to cancel John frickin' Wayne. I get the concept. It's stupid to cancel John Wayne because he's dead. And obviously he's cancelable, and we don't have to make a big stink about it. There's been so many jokes about cancel culture, man. It just ain't funny to me anymore.
One of the biggest dividers in the tribal in the culture war is people with senses of humor and people without.
Some people say that if you can't laugh at stuff like that, that's like kind of offensive and edgy, then it's because you're like triggered and offended. It did not offend me at all. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. And I bet that there are lots of people in the SNL audience, judging by like the demographics, that is probably a lot of young, like white people in New York City, liberal white people, that probably a lot of them are afraid to laugh at things that are considered offensive. But they're also afraid to laugh at things that are not funny. And this could have fallen in either of those categories, in my opinion. I mean, I've seen some people saying that, like, if you can't laugh at this offensive stuff, then you don't have a sense of humor, because that's what's funny. But I feel like there's a lot of edgy stuff like this that's, like, edgy. And it's not that edgy. And it's just not funny. The funny thing about it is that it's edgy. It's like, sometimes when you push something to the edge of what you're allowed to say, that is humorous. But it's not always. And if you don't laugh at it, that doesn't mean that you don't get it. Sometimes it's just because you don't think that it's funny. You know? I mean, I don't care if we cancel John Wayne or not. I don't care about that at all. I actually don't know what John Wayne did. John freaking Wayne. Why are we canceling John Wayne? I mean, that's not funny to you if you think that we shouldn't be like glorifying people who did bad things, and you think John Wayne did bad things. It's not funny to you. It's like, that's what people think that political correctness is some set of rules, but it's not a set of rules. It's, if you say something that is offensive to somebody, then it is politically incorrect. But offensiveness isn't determined outside of people's psychology. Offensiveness is whether you in your head are offended by it or not. So yeah, it's politically incorrect to say something like anti-liberal to a liberal audience. It's also politically incorrect to say something racist to an anti-racist audience. It's also politically incorrect to say something anti-racist to a racist audience. That's why, sometimes like a man will get bothered if a female comedian makes fun of men because he is offended by it. It could be because it's not funny, or it could be because he's offended by it, and it's politically incorrect for that woman to tell that joke because it's offending somebody. If it's politically correct, then it doesn't offend people, You see what I'm getting at? And I just want to look at some of the comments that I saw on Bill Burr's monologue. Actually, I'm just going to pull it up right now. We're going to look at it together. The people who think this comedian's monologue is offensive are the problem. It just takes me to another thing, which is, it bothers me when people think that they know the overall purpose of comedy, which is such a large, sweeping term. And they think, well, you're a comedian. He's a comedian. He's not a school teacher or a politician. He's a comedian. It's comedy. It's a joke. People don't even get the point of comedy. It's supposed to offend you. Otherwise, why would we be telling jokes?
If you're a comedian, you got to make fun of everybody. Good. Make fun of everybody. So Bill Burr's fun of everybody. Good. Make fun of everybody. And the joke is he doesn't really want people to die.
You can want your comedians to tell offensive jokes. And you can want your comedians to, say things that they don't mean. But the point of a comedian is not to say things that they don't mean. And the point of a comedian isn't to offend people. And the point of a comedian isn't to avoid educating people either. And I'm not saying that comedians have to educate people or have to have a political agenda, but stop trying to, I don't even know the word, with a point, something point. Stop trying to make them do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? It just bugs me. One time I had somebody tell me, comedians shouldn't talk about politics. You listen to comedy to get away from politics. That's not what comedy's for. What? I mean, you can do that, but that's not what the point of it is. It just bothers me. It bothers me greatly. Man. And this person says, here's another comment. The dislike bar shows exactly how society is. You have 95% of people agreeing, and 5 to 4% of the people are making all the noise. Do me a favor and go to the video and look at the comments. Try to find me one comment that ain't complaining about woke people and that ain't saying how great he is. That's what all of the comments are. They're the ones making all the noise. And also the ones who are liking the video. There's very few people who dislike the video and very few people who are speaking out against it. Which, by the way, is not what I'm doing. I'm not mad at it. I did not think it was very funny, but I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Get wrecked, annoying pearl clutchers. Silent majority speaks in the like-dislike ratio. The silent majority also speaks with their voices and their typing. It turns out they ain't that silent. Nah, the monologue's the problem. It's just rehashing his old stuff. And he's a generation older than the average audience member. They'd rather see Mulaney or Hader. That is probably accurate. I would not rather see Mulaney or Hader because I ain't trying to get hate from everybody here, but I don't know about Hader. I don't think that Mulaney's that funny. I didn't know if Hader did stand up even, to be honest. Usually equated people, given the month of July. Hilarious. He just came up with a great new politically correct racial term. I don't see what's so funny about coming up with new racial terms. Why is that? Why would that be considered comedy? The first category of white people that I'd like to talk about is what I call the Ellis Island people. The category that I call Euro trash. I didn't really put much thought into it, and I don't feel like I need to. Anyway, but they can destroy the real life of anyone that doesn't support their leftist agenda. Only the ones who apologize for nothing. F the leftist agenda. I mean...
So he was going on both sides. I like it. I thought he was being neutral, right? Making fun of both sides. But the left doesn't think so. The left was saying he's being offensive, he's being racist, he's being sexist, he's a misogynist.
Bill Burr, in my opinion, was trying to make a set that kind of would work for both sides. Cancel culture is bad. Wokeness is really about people of color. It doesn't matter. You try to pander to the left, they're coming for you anyway. And that's pathetic. So he's poking fun at everybody. Well-deserved, good show.
People are allowed to have opinions outside of their side of the culture war. Not everybody's living with this mindset that they're in a culture war and it's like, I gotta find the right things that support my side of the culture war. And, oh, well, he made fun of both sides, so therefore it's fair. People aren't thinking, oh, is this fair to leftists or not? If people were offended by this, it's probably because they were thinking, is this offensive to, this group of people? Is it inconsiderate? Does it make sense? Is it illogical? Is it accurate? They're not thinking, this was too against leftists for me, and I myself am a leftist, and this will hurt us in the culture war. Because if they were thinking that way, they would have agreed with you that it was fair and that it was balanced between the two, between leftists and rightists, whatever the opposite of a leftist is, So why did you make it political when it was not political? People can have opinions outside of this made-up culture war. It's not like masks are leftist is a leftist thing and wokeness is a leftist thing, but then being offended at cancel culture, that's a conservative thing. You made that up in your head. When a comedian tells a joke and he's thought of as an edgy comedian or whatever, and then people don't laugh, and then it's like, oh, guess they don't know what's going on at all. Let me see if I can find this one. This crowd sucks. The exact people he's talking about, I guess. What are the comments? I would argue that the crowd made his bits even funnier because they were getting offended. Uptight crowd equals funnier to watch at home. 10,000%. I mean, like, you have a right to enjoy that and to find it funny that people are offended. But the fact that people find it not funny doesn't mean that you have a superior sense of comedy. There's things that you don't think are funny. There's things that they don't think are funny. You have different opinions. Okay, this is a great comment. This is my favorite one. And it says, Bill Burr doing comedy for an SNL audience is like Albert Einstein explaining the theory of relativity to a flea. Perfect. So perfect. 100. When I saw the lineup, I immediately thought that Bill Burr and Jack White hosting SNL is like Einstein and Beethoven emceeing at a school camp evening. Man, you're not that good at laughing at jokes. These people are like bragging about their ability to get jokes, and it's freaking annoying. It ain't that genius, man. Look at this dude. I'm gonna play a clip here.
One of the biggest dividers in the tribal in the culture war is people with senses of humor and people without. So Bill Burr's like making fun of people who won't wear masks. He's like, good. He's like, kill your family. I don't care. Get rid of them. Then you can't have kids. It was great. It's a joke. Bill Burr obviously doesn't want to kill your family. And the joke is he doesn't really want people to die. It's just a joke that's supposed to be shocking. That's the humor in it. The humor is gone.
People understand that it's a joke. That's not why they're not laughing. They're not laughing because it's a basic freaking joke. It's like every meme for the past 10 months that has ever been made. That's not true. There's been a lot of memes that are just like, oh, natural selection will get the people without the masks. And it's a stupid joke. And it's boring, man. He's telling a boring joke. I mean, you can think that it's funny, but it's boring to me. It does not offend me, and I get it. I get the premise and the punchlines. It was not funny to me. I have seen in my days people who do amateur stand-up comedy, and they convince themselves that the reason that people aren't laughing is because their jokes are too smart to be understood by anybody but themselves. When in actuality, they have failed at making the joke clear. When you're a stand-up comedian, you think of something funny in your head and you're like, that's a funny thought. Now how do I say stuff to make it funny to other people and to share that moment of funniness that I had in my head with other people? You know what I'm saying? And if you fail to make people laugh because you're offending them, then you fail to make people laugh, and you failed as a stand-up comedian. I mean, because that is how I would measure the success of a stand-up comedian, is whether they make people laugh or not, and they make people have a good time. And if people leave your show and they haven't had a good time and they haven't laughed, then you weren't doing your job. And people can be stupid in the audience, and the reason that they don't laugh is because they're stupid or they have stupid ideas. But it's part of the job of a stand-up comedian to deal with that. And maybe Bill Burr was playing for the audience at home, but then admit that and don't say that they were too stupid to get it. I don't know. I don't think that I'm stupid. I'm stupid sometimes, but I'm smart enough to get these jokes, that basic jokes. I'm not trying to hate on Bill Burr. He's a funny guy. Shout out to Bill Burr. But also, sometimes some of his jokes are just like, hey, look at that fat guy. He's freaking fat. What? We were all thinking it. I said he's fat. He's freaking fat. Look at him. That, it ain't clever, is what I'm trying to say. All right. And if you're going to be mad in the comments because I said this, because every once in a while, I don't even post like aggressively biased stuff. But people just get offended. They're like, oh, so I guess you're a liberal then. Oh, well, I'll have you know Ben Shapiro is actually a super genius or whatever. And if you're going to post something like that in the comments, keep in mind that you are offended by what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? You are triggered. You are a triggered SJW. Let that sink in. Let it sink in. Let it sink in. Yeah. Is it sunk yet? Did it sank? Yeah, that's what I thought. But I'm okay with that. And if you're trying to have a conversation in the comments, I'll reply. Maybe. I'll think about it. All right. Man, whatever. All right, bye.